this is the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Jim Savali, our owner and engineer at the helm. And we're going to talk wrestling much of the show with Sir Christopher Michaels and Chad Mins in just a bit. And I spent much of the weekend watching Wrestle Kingdom 13, New Japan, and I could pretty much sum it up. It was an excellent show, but it was not as good as the previous 2 or 3 Wrestle Kingdoms. There were a couple of clunkers in the middle. I thought Cody Rhodes' match was disappointing as he came in injured. The Young Bucks match was pretty forgettable. There were a ton of 3-man matches that kind of became a blur after a while. But the main event of Tanahashi with Kenny Omega was a tremendous, tremendous match. Not quite as good as Kenny Omega and Okada, but a great, great main event. And New Japan is wrestling elevated to an art, and I urge everybody to subscribe to New Japan World because for $8 or $9 a month, it's well worth it. And support wrestling as art, not sports entertainment, which I could watch 3 hours of Raw, and it's kind of penance for sins I committed in previous lifetimes. And Jim Savali, what's happening here at Village Connection Radio?
Evan, we have so many things happen. This is going to be well, last year was a big year, but I think this year coming up is even going to be bigger because we have things in place, and now we're just fine-tuning everything. And the little things that used to go wrong don't go wrong as much. And now we can focus on content and making things look better and getting it out to more audiences. Now we're streaming live on Periscope, which is a whole new audience on Twitter.
That's great.
And just a lot of different things. We're streaming live on iTunes now, so that's a whole different audience. And I'm looking to maybe get a Roku channel this year.
That's awesome.
So that we could be 24/7. We have enough shows now that we could put them in a playlist, and we could go live 24/7 and mix a couple of other things in there. So I think it's going to be a big year.
And one of the things that's special about Village Connection that I've said many times on air and off air as well with you, is you'll have a show with a very, very right-wing host, and you'll have a show with a very liberal host like Pam Roth, whose show I just did earlier today. And that's very unusual to get different perspectives and different topics. This channel's a jazz channel. This channel's a right-wing news channel. Right. This channel's a liberal channel. But this is a mix of everything, which makes it special and pretty much unique.
Yeah, I have to say that since you say it that way, it's kind of like the station represents me, and that's the way I am. I could be friends with you. I could be friends with David Zier. I could be friends with just anyone. It doesn't really bother me. So it's hard to...
I don't know if I could be friends with some of those guys.
But you're on the station, and you don't have to be here at the same time.
Right.
And I think that it's just a great mix, and it's very unique. And I think that I'm very proud of the way everyone, is part of this group, And it's going to grow more this year. And that's the other thing. A lot of the people on the station are open-minded to it. Like, you're not sitting here going, oh, I'm not going to be on this station if this guy's on it talking about Trump or vice versa, So that's we just have a good group of people, and most of us are friends. Most of us,
Yeah, I am far more on the left than some of your show hosts.
Right.
And I don't know how well it would work if I was sitting at a bar. I'll tell you an interesting story, though. I was sitting at a bar once with...
Is this going to be a joke or a story?
No, it's a true story. True story.
A lot of jokes start that way.
I'm sitting with B. Brian Blair, who's a legendary wrestler, and we're sitting in a bar, and we're talking politics. He's very right-wing, I'm very left-wing. We disagreed on every single topic, and at the end of the conversation, we shook hands and respected each other because he's sincere in his beliefs.
Right.
I'm sincere in my beliefs. and it was actually a very positive experience.
Right.
So it can work. At the same time, if people are coming from a place of mutual disdain,
Right.
that libtard, that deplorable, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And what's not working is the huge amount of background noise coming from Chris Michaels. So why don't we take a break and we'll...
I know they're... No, it's okay. We don't mind. You get to hear what's coming up next, But let me just find the quick song and we'll get it going.
Got me good in a hole that I just can't diffuse, but I know the tricks up your sleeve. 'Cause you and I used to sing just to pass by the time, and I can't let go without a partial thought to where a song may flow. Some ring away, but the echo of yours seem to stay.
We are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at Village Connection Radio.
Did you fight those guys out there?
I just went into the green room and sedated Chris Michaels, who...
It sounded a little violent out there, like maybe you karate chopped him or something.
I said, quote, "But could you be any louder?"
That's always a great way to phrase it, like put it in the form of a question. Could you be any louder?
That's right. So... Chris Michaels will be regaling you with his loudness in just a few minutes. But, so, any new shows, anything you'd like to plug coming to the station? It's a new year.
We don't have any new shows because I took a break during the holidays actually looking for new shows. I wanted to finish the year with what we had, secure everything, tighten everything up. And I think that this month we'll have a few more, coming in. And then that's it.
And tell the viewers, listeners about some of the shows.
We have quite a variety of shows. Let's see. We have everything from a lawyer. We have wrestling shows. We have business shows. We have shows with stars from California. We have real estate shows. We have musicians. We have families. We have
Stephen Miller's show, which I share all the time, even though he claims I don't. I share it all the time.
We have
Miller and the Rockstar. That's
everything.
You guys.
We have plumbers. How many stations have plumbers on their station? Come on. David Gus in another business show.
The ticket guy.
Yeah, that's what made the big turn for us is when we opened up our station to more business shows as opposed to just entertainment. Mm-hmm. So, entertainment shows, they don't have money, but the business shows do.
Okay.
So it's good. It's a good balance.
Yeah, the starving artist and the business people.
But no, I think we have a great audience, great variety of shows, great show hosts. And, what's great is a lot of the show hosts that bring on guests, and then the guest sees what we have, and then they want to do a show.
Right.
So we've got a lot of shows that way. I think you brought in a couple. That way.
Yeah. I brought in Stroke of Luck.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And they're going to have a telethon for stroke victims in April, I believe.
I think it's the first week in May.
Yeah.
It'll be our second year doing it.
Yeah, that was
last year. I met Renee. She came in April, and that telethon was coming up real quick. I think she only had like three weeks left. And the first time I met her, she says, "Oh, we do this telethon in May. Can you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." Man, that was a challenge.
Yeah,
that was a big milestone for us and the station, just because of what we accomplished that day.
And I'm going to donate my time to her again this year, and whatever Sunday that is, she could, take my time and promote help for stroke victims. And what Renee always says is, at any given moment, any one of us, it could
anyone.
happen. Yeah,
Anyone. It's not,
very, very scary.
Yeah, and she's, that's the one thing I have to say is there's a lot of shows that I'm able to, I have a really good talent. I can sit here and do a show and sometimes actually tune the show out.
Right.
But there's a lot of times that I actually sit here and listen, and I've really learned a lot, listening to these shows. Yeah. A lot of knowledge and information has come through.
Pam has medical experts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to dedicate this show to yet another fallen friend.
Jeez, Evan, do not be my friend.
Yeah. My buddy Mike, we used to call him Mongo. He passed the other day, and I have a funny story. We went to see Billy Graham, superstar Billy Graham, wrestle Bob Backlund at the Nassau Coliseum. We're sitting about 10th row ringside, and Billy Graham puts Backlund in a bear hug, and Mike's looking at it like he has like a weird look on his face, and he goes, "He's not squeezing that hard. This is fake." And it's like we were kids, and it suddenly dawned on him what wrestling was, and he was very disillusioned. Okay, funny. True story. And it's like I was more aware than him, and I'm like, Mike, it's a show. It's a show. Just enjoy it for what it is, But he was a kid. It was like learning like there was no Santa Claus.
That's funny.
Yeah. So my buddy Mongo, we dedicate this show to you. Longtime wrestling fan.
I can remember watching wrestling as a kid and thinking it was real. But I can also remember watching football as a kid and thinking that football players had really big shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know they were wearing equipment.
Right.
I thought they were like these giant men with shoulders that, came out to...
Yeah.
Kids are easily fooled. I guess is my point.
It's interesting. Johnny Valiant said to me, when somebody is great, whether it's a wrestler, singer, rapper, comedian, you think they're 10 feet tall.
Right.
Especially as a kid.
Right.
And sometimes you'll meet them and you go, wow, this guy's short.
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Yeah. I met the Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges, always wanted to meet this guy, and he came to the Paramount, and I got, press pass, and I walk up to him, and he's actually shoulder height.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe it. I thought he was larger than life on screen. He always
exactly.
Seems, because on TV you don't realize that everyone's that height. So maybe if a guy is only 5'9", all of the other actors are 5'7", so he looks tall.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. I was associate producer on The Wrestler, and I brought in this very large wrestler to read, and Darren Aronofsky goes, he's going to make Mickey look tiny. And so he didn't hire him. So many times you have the male lead, like an Al Pacino, right, who's not particularly tall, and the female lead will be short. Right. Sometimes the actors are chosen by size, right, believe it or not. And another thing that's interesting when you're involved in film is they'll sit there with the actors. They'll do like these little index cards with the actors' price, okay? And they'll be like, well, we could get 3 TV stars for the price of these 2 movie stars, because the price is different.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't realize in making a movie, and not all of it is glamorous.
I'm sure.
A lot of it comes down to dollars and cents, and you have to understand, when somebody's a superstar, they're like a walking corporation. They'll have a bodyguard, a hairstylist, a makeup person, an agent, a manager. It's like a walking corporation. It's like you're hiring 20 people.
Yep.
If somebody is not on that level, it's easier. It's just easier. And so without further ado, I'm going to dedicate this show to Michael Katz, and basically we're going to go ahead and talk some wrestling in just a few with Chris Michaels and Chad Mins. So don't go anywhere. This is the eclectic mix known as the Evan Ginzburg Show. We'll be right back, folks.
But not to shake it off, another night to make it all feel so exciting. A hot kiss could start a fire, whatever it is can make you high. And how a mess when it's inside, it's so inviting. Over and over, I want you again. I want to be closer. Change it all. Where we lie is where we fall. One more brick to make a wall. So much for finding out. Another night for you to cry. Another night to say goodbye. One more night is one more lie. It's so defining. Over and over, I want you again. I want to be closer.
With the Evan Ginzburg Show with the vociferous Chris Michaels, legendary ECW, WWE, NWA, and one of our regulars, Chris Michaels.
Or irregulars, depending on how you look at my way of viewing on things.
And why don't you introduce our guest?
Well, for all these weeks leading up to this, I've been talking about the trifecta. I've been talking about SWF. I've been talking about standalone wrestling and pro wrestling after dark, 21 and over. Leave the kiddies home, and I didn't silence my phone. How unprofessional.
Here's a radio basic. Turn on your phone.
See, I hit my silence thing, but I did it 3 times. Lucky me. But and this is Chad Mins. He is the owner of Standalone Wrestling and co-owner of Pro Wrestling After Dark. And I wanted to bring him here. He's the man with the vision who wants to bring back the wrestling territories. Thank you, Jesus. Because
you look a little like John Malkovich. Did anybody ever tell you that?
Never. I always get Cesaro. I've never heard that
Cesaro
one before.
also. Yeah.
Cesaro without the muscles.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, or the dance moves, because I think they were ribbing him, that him and someone were going to have a twerking contest. I was like saying, geez, I hope this is a spelling error, because I really would want to get up to get a hot dog during that segment.
That is definitely not happening.
But,
So welcome, Chad.
Thank you. Pleasure to be on, and nice to finally meet you.
Thank you. And tell us about your promotion.
So we have a breakdown of actually 3 promotions. The whole thing as a group is called the Trifecta, which is a breakdown of 3 brands. I am the owner of Standalone Wrestling, and maybe over the summer you heard about Boardwalk Beatdown in Atlantic City, and that was our big convention. That is part of that Standalone Wrestling brand, and we run Southern New Jersey up to Central New Jersey. The second company is Pro Wrestling After Dark, which is more of an adult-themed show. And we launched that in Vineland, New Jersey. And in May, we're going to run in Atlantic City on the beach. So, again, that's more southwest New Jersey. And then the third promotion is SWF, who covers, up to Manahawkin, where I don't run, up to North Jersey. So between the 3 brands, we really cover the whole entire state.
And this is the poster for Pro Wrestling After Dark. Do we have this, Jim? And I see the notorious Joey Ryan on here.
Joey Ryan will be in the house. Absolutely.
And let's discuss Joey Ryan for a moment. Some of the old school fans do not go for the
finishing move.
The finishing move. And explain the finishing move, Chris.
Well, let's just say for those of you fat, undateable fanboys that have never had your penis touched, you might not be able to relate to this.
Yeah.
But he has somebody grab his Johnson, and somehow by his
sheer
male
willpower,
prowess, maybe high testosterone and maybe andro Joe, somehow his boner flips his opponent over, and God only knows, getting pinned like that is...
Lou Thez and Pat O'Connor used to do that spot back in the day.
Yeah, but it was in the locker room. It was called Hide the Soap.
That's not true, folks.
No,
He's
just kidding. Just
upset.
kidding.
Oh, my God.
I would get a Thez press and from Lou Thez from out of the grave.
So, here's the thing. From my point of view, as an old school fan, to me, I just look at it as it's performance art. It's entertaining. It does not offend me whatsoever. But what about the people that say that crosses a line? And there's 2 sides to it. What's your take on it?
Yeah, it's with society right now. I think it's so hard because people get offended so easily. It seems
The chronically offended.
yes, but again, pro wrestling has something for everybody to like and something for everybody to not like. So I think you have to come into it with an open mind. There's gonna be stuff you're gonna be offended by, and there's gonna be stuff that you're gonna love. And just enjoy the things that you like, and just don't put too much into the things you don't.
And by labeling it 21 and over, Pro Wrestling After Dark, you are telling people there's going to be
it's an advanced warning. So, it's like any other place. When you go someplace and you have a cover charge, you usually, what I say, you keep out the heathen scunion. Because when you attach a dollar amount to getting into a place, you're going to weed out the lowlives really quick. So, the same way with this. You say it's 21 and over, so you already know there's an element of maybe language, sexual content, sexual innuendo, which is an Italian
So my next question would be, what is the line, if there's a line, between, this is for adults, and just cheap heat? What is the line? Because I know like a Jim Cornette, his head would explode, but I'm more open-minded as the exact words you used, and I'm not easily offended. I have friends who are stand-up comedians. I've seen black comedians do slavery jokes, Jewish comedians do Holocaust jokes. I'm not easily offended, but there is a line somewhere. For example, the woman the other night who pulled a bloody tampon out and shoved it in the other woman's face. I mean,
in her mouth.
In a mouth, whatever the case may be. I think that's crossing a line, because what's the next step? You're gonna pee on your opponent, or you're gonna shit on your opponent? I think that's crossing a line. Am I wrong? I don't.
Yeah, that segment in an instance I would not book, and I probably will book her in the future because of the buzz that it is getting. And,
so then, has she accomplished her goal then? Because her fame or notoriety is based on that act as opposed to great wrestling.
Yeah, I believe she was in the WWE women's tournament Priscilla Kelly, and I think she's getting more publicity off this than she did when she was doing that. And sure, I would book her based, because of course you need to use the exposure, and when things go viral.
You feel it's a good move career wise.
Well, not necessarily to replicate that same.
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, so
that's what he said earlier.
Yeah, so definitely, I would not run that bit. That would not be on my show.
But this will help her career with more bookings.
Well, but you think though the suspense, even if she did open up the tights and reach in. Is it gonna happen again? And that is when it doesn't happen. Is when you finally, when the wrestlers get the idea, you give them a little, and then you take it away. And that's what the young guys don't understand. Back in the day, and you'll remember, you had a guy like Tully Blanchard would grab a guy, go up to where the balcony is, and motion like he's gonna throw the guy off. He doesn't do it. He ends up dragging him in a headlock back to the ring. But they wanted it. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Not today. Or when the heel would pin the guy, pull him up by his hair. No, not yet.
So here's my thing as an old school fan. Like, I love Kenny Omega. I think the guy's a tremendous wrestler.
Phenomenal.
I am not offended he wrestled a 9-year-old girl or he wrestled a doll. If that helped give him attention, notoriety, whatever, that's fine. Because he'll get in the ring and have a 5-star match. He was in the ring with Tanahashi the other night, and that was wrestling elevated to art. And when he gets in the ring with an Okada, that's wrestling elevated to art. But you still have to deliver as a wrestler. So if I see a Joey Ryan, not only do I want to see the gimmicky stuff, I want to see a really good match. That's as an old school fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Well, remember when they used to say Johnny Rods could wrestle a broomstick?
Johnny Rods was great.
And by saying that is okay. Like, remember, you're talking about Japanese wrestling, so you're talking American culture, which emulates things. Hence, dumbass kids jumping off the roof on the flaming tables, or the Japanese culture, which watches their entertainment vicariously and then goes on living their normal life. They don't blog in their basement at 3:00 in the morning about why these guys, why this one doesn't have the belt.
Who scares me? Chris Michaels. The guys who 3 a.m. are going, I miss Chris Benoit. Those guys scare me. They really.
And surprisingly, there's a lot of those.
Yeah. There's something not right there. I'm sorry.
No, that's.
This is what they're thinking about at 3 a.m.
So should Chris Benoit be in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I haven't heard that debate more than 10,000 times.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things when you murder your entire family. That to me is kind of it's like, you want to separate the man from his final deeds, and it's kind of hard for me to say, the guy was a phenomenal wrestler, but in the end, he was a shit human being.
O.J. Simpson was a great football player. It doesn't mean I want him to date my niece.
Right, exactly. The same reason why, if you invite Bill Cosby over, you lock your liquor cabinet. Make sure the medicine chest doesn't have any, any hallucinogenic drugs inside there.
I didn't know this was a comedy show, too.
Hey, we do it all here. The Evan Ginzburg show is an eclectic mix. You should be here when we have musicians here.
Yeah.
We have rappers, poets. It's not a wrestling show, but we love the proletarian performance art of professional wrestling.
That's a mouthful.
That's right.
I could never say it.
So tell us about some of the other wrestlers on the show. Pro
Sonny
Wrestling
Kiss
After
was
Dark.
up in that upper right-hand corner. Great talent.
Amazing talent.
Let me say something about Sonny Kiss. 30, 40 years ago in the wrestling business, anybody doing a gay act would be the heel, an Adrian Street, whatever the case may be. Sonny Kiss is so charismatic, so great that everybody. It's like there's no homophobia. I think that's a real step in the right. That's a real step in the right direction.
Yeah, I think between the person who's doing that and between society now with the cultural change with that belief, I think it's the perfect timing for him.
Yeah,
I believe so too.
I think he'll be a major star, and I hope, should WWE ever be open, I think they should push him through the roof.
Yeah.
They should. And look, the WWE has had plenty of gay people working for them, and it's about time.
Yeah, but they always made it cartoonish, like an Adrian Adonis, and it was never in a positive light.
Of like trying to push it to see what the public opinion would be at that time to see if they should give it a further push, you'd have to test the waters a lot too to see, just how far you could go with things to see, all right, is the public accepting to this? Yes or no? Like they did the whole Chuck and Larry thing, which is like, come on, let's not belittle gay men to being these vaudeville clowns. I mean, let's not demean these people.
I like when I watch Ring of Honor and the black wrestlers come out and they're not singing, dancing, rapping. They just come out as wrestlers. Okay? Why can't WWE get a Sunny Kiss and just let them come out and wrestle? I mean, why does it have to be, cartoonish or buffoonish? I don't get it.
I mean, Adrian Street, he was androgynous the way he came out, but when that bell rang, he was
work.
Vicious.
Oh, yeah.
Vicious.
Yeah, Adrian Street was great.
So that's the thing I think that it helped with that character that he portrayed, and it was cutting edge at that time, and he had a big pair of balls and a backbone to do that. I will credit him.
And unbelievable charisma.
Yes.
And Sonny Kiss has charisma.
Gimmicks. He made my wrestling gimmicks.
Oh, really?
My cape.
Wow.
All of my wrestling stuff that looks good was made by Adrian Street.
Cool.
6 Degrees of Adrian Street. So tell us, Chad, about some of the other people on your show.
Yes, I have the card right here. I can run it down a little bit.
Sure.
The show is February 8th. It's called, can you curse on here?
Yeah.
This is the internet, pal.
Okay, it's called The Shit Show. It's at the Violent Moose Lodge. You can buy tickets at bethetrifecta.com, and that's where all three brands are. It's a full card. This is our second show. Frankie Picard versus Mr. Grimm versus Blackstrom. And Blackstrom's somebody who we pulled out of our tryout camps. And that's actually for the Trifecta title match, which is, to celebrate all three brands, the championship.
I'm excited about this because I was there, not for the time that they had the tryout camp, because, a lot of folks don't know. I mean, and I told you, I don't talk about my entire life on the internet and, I don't chronicle every single thing that I do. But I had my 90-year-old uncle was in the hospital for over 2 months.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was dealing with that and still trying to promote and still trying to do all of this stuff. At the same time, trying to work out and, do all the stuff that I'm doing and all of this and still try to save energy for all of these things. So that's why a lot of times I was, not as aggressive as posting certain things. So when I came back to this company after my 4-year absence, I realized that he's finally got a good foothold. He's associating himself with the right people. You could associate yourself with a lot of people in wrestling. Wrestling's got a lot of charlatans, but there are people. This guy is up all hours of the night, just like Evan. So the people that are doers are the ones that are up at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning because they just got to finish that last thing, and then after they finish with that shit, I forgot. I got to do one more thing. Just that one.
So in general, as somebody who's been around indie wrestling forever, I find that a lot of promoters are not out there with the posters, the flyers. They have a pretty website. Maybe they have a Facebook page. They think it's the be-all and end-all. Mm-hmm. They're not willing to hustle to fill the building. I went to an SWF show that Chris wrestled on, and the place was packed. And that's not an accident. Now, I've been to indie shows where there were literally 12 people. Okay, there were more wrestlers than fans. They're playing in front of a building full of appreciative empty chairs. And I think that's a choice. I think if you're up 3 a.m. working towards this, if this is something you're passionate about, I think that's important. And the fact that you took a long drive from New Jersey out to Long Island to promote today, unlike many on your roster who are unwilling.
There isn't a ring inside the building,
yeah.
and unfortunately,
but it's
a
promotion.
Yeah.
You're out hustling, and I think that's incredibly important, as opposed to a vanity thing where the promoter flings himself off the balcony through a flaming table or whatever, because this is his dream, or he pays the mark price for his childhood hero who's on the show, and the guy's 100 years old and can't work anymore. You guys are doing it. You're doing it, and this Pro Wrestling After Dark is a unique concept. It's something different. I say the same thing all the time. I'm jaded. I've seen the best of the best since 1974.
Yeah.
Okay, around the world, literally around the world. So it's Friday night or it's Saturday night. There's 6 shows in New York. There's 6 shows in New Jersey. I'm gonna go to the one down the block from me at the Elks Lodge. I need to be motivated to travel and make the effort. This is something different and special. It's going to stand out. You guys are creating a niche product, and I think that's something that could work, as opposed to the same pool of talent are on multiple shows this weekend.
And that was the exact thought. In New Jersey especially, there's so many wrestling promotions. Just basically, like you said, they're copying the same guys with the same students from the same schools, the same names, traveling around in a circle. So I said, let me think outside of the box. Let me try and push the edge a little bit. Maybe like a little feel of ECW, like some old school stuff, but take it to the modern era now. Like what's cool now, what's happening, what won't people expect, and a lot of like fast paced matches. Like just keep the matches exciting.
I think when you look at something like this, you have beautiful women, you have high flyers, you have name guys like Joey Ryan mixed in with the local indie guys. I don't think it's rocket science. I think you need 7 or 8 matches. You have a good tag team match, a good brawl, 1 or 2 women's matches. You don't need 15 matches that go on for 5 hours. I've been to cards in New York. They're setting up the cage at midnight. You're numb.
Yeah.
The ticket sellers were all on. You're literally numb.
You're watching the hard camera, and the custodian is folding the chairs and putting stuff away, waiting for the show to end.
Speaking of put away, half the fans are away.
Right.
They've left the building. You have kids. I once went with my nephew and his buddies, and the parents are like, bring our kids home. It's 11:30. You don't need a show to go 5 hours till 12:30 at night.
Yeah, I want all our shows over 10:30. That's the max.
Yeah,
10:30.
exactly.
Yeah, so you don't have to give more.
Leave them wanting more.
Right. I tell the guys all the time. They get in and said, if you guys wrestled the way you had sex, you'd never get laid. You guys blow your load in the beginning, and that's it. Everything's done. And like I said to Chad earlier, a lot of these guys, everything has got to be exactly this, and it's like, okay, but when all this stuff is going on, when are you connecting with the fans? I was taught the old school way: if you come out, if you are not identified by the fans by the time you get in the ring as a heel or a face, and you haven't done your job.
Yeah, Johnny Valiant used to say to me, guy walks down the aisle, you should know within 30 seconds, this is the good Indian, this is the bad Indian, this is the good cowboy, this is the bad cowboy. Understand the gimmick. The blurring of face and heel, it just becomes like a meaningless blur of high spots which you don't remember the next night. A wrestling match should tell a story, and a wrestling card should build to the next card. Mm-hmm. Don't miss next month. This guy's wrestling this guy. It's the blow off to the feud, and it's going to be big. And
what about cutting off the match in the middle because you run out of TV time? They don't do stuff like that no more. It's like the old shows, the Batman with
Adam
West, Burt Ward. They always had a cliffhanger at the end, making you want to know what happens next. And the problem with these guys is I don't know if they're just trying to have a highlight reel, or they're actually trying to focus on taking their career to the level where they can actually make money and make a living at this. Or are they just satisfying that jock sniffer thing of rubbing elbows with the boys? And that, when I got broken in, we separated that shit right in the beginning. We went to wrestling schools, not seminars. You went to an actual wrestling school where they teach you trim your nails, wash your stinking ass crack and balls. You're going to get in there with guys. You're going to be in close proximity to wrestling guys. You don't need body funk. You're supposed to be a professional.
You need Terry Funk, not body funk.
Right.
That's right.
But to think that I actually explain this to these guys, I'm like, for God's sake, were you raised by a pack of wolves? This is basic, get up, take a shower, don't go to work smelling like yesterday. I mean, come on. And then don't even get me started on guys who don't want to wash their wrestling gear. It's like, remember high school, the gym locker room, you go inside there, the funk from inside there, from like, oh, this is my sweatpants. I've been wearing it all year. Yeah. No shit.
Yeah, I was at a show last night, and I had the same exact thought when the workers were walking by. I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on here? It's shocking to me.
Locker room etiquette is not taught. And these are the things. You come inside. That right there is respect for your fellow worker. There was a guy that we had in the doghouse. We called the guy Onions because the guy smelled like onions. And we used to beat this guy from pillar to post.
You beat the onions out of him.
Yeah, pretty much. But, it's the same thing like in the Army. You're that one guy that doesn't shower. You got a blanket party. And we did that to a couple of guys because these guys stunk. I mean, it wasn't a religious thing.
This is a public service announcement from Chris Michaels. Wash your gear.
Wash your nasty ass crack and funky ball sack, please.
That's right.
Oh, my God.
That'd be like a good hip-hop record.
Actually, make a nice T-shirt, right?
We're gonna have to add you to the next camp for this.
See?
For this
That's
reason.
right.
Alone.
He should do a seminar.
Pro wrestling after dark.
Teach all the
Sign
stuff
me
that
up,
nobody
pal.
teaches.
It's okay. I'll have something bigger in my trunks than Joey Ryan, but it'll be detachable.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So what else is on the card, Chad?
All right, we have an intergender match with Jimmy Lloyd, who's really a hardcore wrestler. He wrestles CZW, GCW, and he's going to take on Miranda Elise, who's from the Mae Young Classic, WWE.
Okay.
It won't be a hardcore match, but it will be intergender.
And how do you feel about intergender matches? I don't see any problem with it. I think back in the day, Aluna Vachon and Sherry Martel were as tough as the guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they were.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I love it. And I think big, small, again, it's about telling the story. So if you have a bigger guy versus a smaller girl, you have to adapt that story to make it fit.
Bull Nakano, I think she could have taken out some of the guys.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Yeah,
When the girls train, they have to train like the guys.
absolutely.
I had my ex-wife one time, this was years ago,
She beat you 2 out of 3 falls.
Oh, no, she wanted to be my valet. I mean, my one ex, she had a very nice shape, very statuesque look, and she was very athletic. She used to run track in school and everything. So, I mean, she had traps better than most guys. And she wanted to train to be a valet. I said, well, you got to train the same way a wrestler does or a referee does. You got to learn how to bump. You got to learn how to... So, she got the boot the same way. I wrapped her arm right up in that thing, and I started chopping her up. And she looked at me like, I said... You're in the ring now. You're mine.
Yeah.
I said, you got to understand something. You want to be here to do this. It's not all of that glamour that you see. You got to learn how to take hits. Not so much because we want to abuse anyone, but you want to let them know what it feels like and what you could encounter during a real match. Because things happen during a live performance that if you don't know how to ad-lib or how to get yourself out of something, it's going to be one of those moments when, you're like there and deer in the headlights, and that's the worst thing in the world that can happen to someone in the ring.
Yeah, when we had the tryouts, people were surprised. We had people came for ring announcer and commentator and stuff like that, and we said, okay, get in the line. And they're like, what do you mean get in the line? I said, no, we're going to do drills now. So get in line and do the drills. And they're like, no, I want to be an announcer. I want to be a referee. I said, well, you need to learn just like everybody else and have the understanding of the business. What the talent goes through. And
see, I love this thinking. When I broke in, I learned how to set up the ring. I drove the ring truck, I set up the lights, the wires, and then I jobbed for 6 different guys, wrapped up everything, packed the truck up, and drove 600 miles
to the next town. Yeah.
That sounds incredibly glamorous. Yes.
Well, that's the thing that people don't see. See, the behind-the-scenes people are so important to what goes on. Because without a Chad, without a Rob,
without a ring, Billy, you don't have a show. I was once at a show, the ring showed up 2 hours late, and the fans started leaving.
That happened to me.
I was once at a show with no ring at all.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Honest to God, true story. I had a show. It was in New Jersey. It was in Newark. I remember this in the 90s. Just got done doing a show in this boys club. I'm rapping, the kids were helping me pack the ring truck, get them a couple bucks. And just as I'm loading the last of the stuff in the ring truck, this car drives through a car dealership window. Guy stole a car, drove through the window. I'm like, okay, I got to get the hell out of this neighborhood.
Wow.
So, got out. Now, I got these 2 guys from Puerto Rico. One guy, Mr. Pogo, and this other guy, Bonacano from Puerto Rico, came at me. They're going to drive me in the ring truck. So I'm like, look, guys, do me a favor. I'm kind of tired. So just drive up 95 until we get through Connecticut. I just don't like driving through Connecticut because every mile there is an exit for 99 miles. I hate it. It's like Chinese water torture. I can't take it. It's like, just drive through that. No problem. So every once in a while, I crack my eyes open. I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, here we are. Okay, fall back asleep for a second. Open my eyes. We keep on stopping. Keep on going. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Finally, I wake up. We're at a gas station on the interstate. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They were stopping at every single stop to try to buy beer on the interstate. I said, you moron! You cannot buy beer on the interstate. So meanwhile, they're doing this. They're not paying attention to the temperature gauge on the control panel. They end up seizing the engine to the ring truck.
Oh my God!
No cell phones.
Yeah.
How to use a Hagstrom's. Didn't have MapQuest. Didn't have Google Maps. Didn't have none of that. Here I am in Rhode Island. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do now? Find a payphone. Call Mario Savoldi up. I forget where these guys were at a hotel someplace. Told him what happened. Call up my friend Bill Witchy in Rhode Island. He's in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. Guy comes, takes me to a truck rental place, get a rental truck, transfer all the stuff into the truck. Yo, you have no idea. And on my mind, all I'm thinking about is, oh my God, I got to get to Vermont. So here it is. I told these guys to forget it. I said, I'm driving now. I said, you two guys banned from driving. I said, you guys are assholes. I said, you overheat the goddamn truck. How do you do that? Forget it. Trying to find beers. You guys are really all morons.
The important thing is they found beer.
They never did.
Oh, okay.
All of that. You see the truck engine and nobody got drunk.
They didn't even get the beer.
No, so that sacrifice was all for naught.
That's a bad night.
So finally, pulling up to Vermont, I look. Here it is, the where we're having the event, loaded with cars. I'm like, oh man. I get there. Here it is. I open the doors and it was just like you hear the door creaking open. You hear that that sound, and everybody. I just felt all eyes looking at me. There they are, all sitting in their places, in the balconies, on that balcony, the bleachers, in the front seats, and there's a big empty square spot where the ring's supposed to be. And here I am, the guy with the ring. So at that moment, I was the most hated guy there.
Man.
They got everybody out of the locker room. Thank God, Angelo Savoldi, the genius that he was. When he set the ring up, it was done with tubular design. It was round tubes, and it was color-coded. So a shithead like me could even figure it out. So ring together, I got a round of applause, and then I got my ass kicked 6 times for TV taping. So,
Right.
so there it was. And at the last second, and setting the ring up, and there it was. But you can't make this stuff up. Now imagine if I had technology and stuff back then. Maybe I would have got there quicker. But these are the things you got to deal with without technology. So whatever can go wrong does go wrong on any independent show, on even any legitimate show.
Especially with Mr. Pogo.
Es-
I remember him
especially-
getting blown up in FMW. Remember?
I love that stuff.
Yeah. So tell us what else you got on the show.
All right, we have who you talked about already, Joey Ryan versus Sonny Kiss. I came up with
There
that
you
match.
go, there you go.
Should be interesting right there. Shane Strickland versus Smiley versus Ace Austin versus Ricky Martinez, which is going to be that big lucha, fast-paced match.
Right,
Shane
right.
Strickland's on MLW and also Lucha Underground. Ricky Martinez is big in Lucha Underground. Ace Austin is, in Impact Wrestling sometimes now. In women's match, Scarlett Bordeaux, who's one of the hottest people in Impact Wrestling right now, versus a very fast up-and-coming Christina Marie. Logan Black versus John Wayne Murdoch, which we're calling the shit show match, which is the theme, and that's basically anything can happen, and your weapons and just chaos. Matt McIntosh versus Serpentico. Brian Cage, who tonight is
He's a big boy.
Yeah, he's wrestling for the Impact World Championship tonight, so we could have the Impact Champion on our show versus Joe Gacy. We have Nick Gage versus Brandon Kirk, which will be another hardcore match. And that pretty much rounds up that card for February 8th.
Now, that card, I'm being honest, that would appeal to me. This sounds like something special as opposed to just another night at the Elks Lodge.
Well, Evan, if you hold that poster back up, look at every person that's on there. Everybody has a different look.
That's right.
You don't have, the quintessential black trunks, black boots, white T-shirt guy with.
I like Bardot's look the best.
Yeah, me too for some reason. I don't know why.
But I've seen Joe Gacy wrestle. That guy's rough. And he can wrestle.
Joe Gacy is amazing.
And he can wrestle.
Yeah.
See, with the hardcore guys, I always have more respect. Can they actually wrestle, not just mutilate themselves? He can wrestle. Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah, he's a guy I would guess you might possibly see in WWE this year.
Really?
He's getting he's been in Evolve right now, which is a farm league for WWE, and he's really growing there. And he's our champion for standalone wrestling, and I really think this year he has a lot of potential.
So what's your ultimate vision for this? I mean, again, on any given, this is a Friday night, on any given Friday night, there's a zillion promotions running in America. What's your ultimate vision for Pro Wrestling After Dark? How far would you like to take this?
Right now, that is very, very open. Right now, I'm just in the position where I want people to have a good time and get that release from working all week and just come out and have fun. And, right now, still thinking about Jersey, PA, New York, Delaware type of stuff, and starting a YouTube series of, breaking down into weekly episodes of everything we have going on. And from there, just take it nice and slow. Don't want to rush and make mistakes and get burnt out or outspend. So just I don't want to talk about like pay-per-view and TV like people.
Right.
Everybody seems to rush to that. Oh, I'm going to be on TV. I'm going to be on pay-per-view. Me, I just want to constantly build and grow at the right pace.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a good point, because I would rather see a company grow to the point where people keep on asking the question, why don't these guys do a pay-per-view? That's what you'd want. True story with ECW. When they had the Hammerstein Ballroom for the first time, and Billy Corrigan from Smashing Pumpkins was there to play the national anthem on his guitar.
Really?
And I wasn't wrestling. I just went there to go hang out. I was there with Balls Mahoney, rest his soul, and we went for a walk to go get a 40 ounce. So we went around the corner to one of these bodegas, and some guy was scalping tickets to the show. And apparently the guy was like a crackhead or something, because here he is, he got an ECW guy right in front of his face, had no idea who Balls Mahoney was. So we're there, we got our stuff, we went to the back, he goes to Paulie, he goes, Paulie, you're not going to believe what I just saw. He goes, there's this guy around the corner scalping tickets. He was like really upset, and Paulie's like, brother, we fucking made it.
Yeah.
We fucking made it. And he's like, it didn't gel with him for a second. If you've got people scalping your tickets, that tells you something. It says you've got something that people want.
I'll tell you,
you're willing to buy from some guy that has asked for breath that wants to sell you tickets, but they're willing to take that chance.
I'll tell you a great Balls Mahoney story. He's on an indie in Jersey, meaningless indie show. He's brawling through the crowd. He's covered in blood. The match is over. Gets his pay. Gets in the car. He's covered in blood, and he drives away. This guy's on the highway, covered in blood.
Oh my God!
It's a true story.
It looks like a hit and run accident.
True story. Yeah.
I just want to touch on that ticket scalper story too that you talked about. That was a big thing with All In. All the fans are like, "Oh my God!" Well, 3,000 of those tickets of this sold out venue are ticket scalpers. And, their perfect response for that was just, you go to WWE, if they're at a 10,000 seat venue, they didn't even sell out. So All In, there was that demand from the scalpers to resell the tickets. So it's not always a negative thing that
So let me just play devil's advocate with All In. Tremendous success, quality show, very good show, I saw it. At the same time, as an old school fan who grew up with wrestling being a blue collar sport, $50 to $200 a ticket, you are eliminating a chunk of your audience who cannot afford that. And I don't like seeing the steady rise of ticket prices. Ring of Honor and New Japan are at the Garden, and it's great. I love ROH. I was associate producer on The Wrestler. I brought them into The Wrestler. I've dealt with carrying them for a long time. I think it's great, but again, $50 to $300 a ticket. It's getting to a point where it's outpricing certain fans, and you shouldn't have to, it shouldn't be a mortgage payment for parents and 2 kids to go to a wrestling show. I think it's getting to that point now, and I don't think that's necessarily a good trend.
Well, there's
What's
not,
your take
because
on
if
that?
it costs too much for tickets, who's going to have money to spend on merchandise?
Yeah.
So you want, like Tony Atlas, one of the things he said about 30 some odd years ago, because whenever, one thing about Tony is when he's there, he gets his stuff on, goes right out, gets at his table, gets his gimmicks out. And I go, well, Tony, you're out here. The people are coming in. He's there for the meet and greet. He goes, well, Chris, I want to make sure I get the money from them people when they first come in while they have it in their pocket.
Yeah.
And I said, he's got a point. Because later on, they want a hot dog, they want a soda, they want this and that. Maybe they may choose between a beer or a Tony Atlas Watergrill picture. But if he got them before, he did his job.
Yeah, I always say to the talents too. Why, I always see them with their gimmicks set up at the table when the show first opens, but then they don't come out till intermission. I said, you just missed a whole big segment of your opportunity to make your gimmick sales.
So how come more of the indie wrestlers who are not making a lot of money for the most part, how come they don't merchandise themselves better? Rage does very well with the gimmicks. He has a table full of stuff. But for the most part, a lot of these guys, if they're lucky, they have an 8x10. If they're lucky, they may have a T-shirt. But they really don't seem to grasp the whole merchandising concept, because I think a lot of wrestlers can make a lot more money if they did. Personally, as an agent, I would bring some of the legends, for appearances. And even if you print up 100 shirts, whatever you don't sell, you pack it away and you sell the next time. You're always going to make money with merchandise. I mean,
yeah, but again, it's a branding thing, and it's an investment in yourself, and I think.
But why don't more do it?
I think that kind of stuff is lacking.
I'll go back to what I'm saying.
I should do a seminar on that.
A seminar. Well, that's it. It's seminars, not schools. When you go to a school, like you go to Afrin Seeker, the Wild Samoans. I'll even say you go to the Monster Factory or NYWC. Any of these other places that have a legitimate school that will teach the guys and the gals what is necessary. You go into a locker room, how to conduct yourself in front of a promoter. When I was wrestling for McMahon, I used to wear khakis, a shirt, and a tie when I would go from place to place. I wanted to look like a professional. I wanted to present myself as a serious business person. Because your appearance, perception is everything. And like the thing I say, and I think I said it to Vordell Walker, is one of the USA Pros wrestling guys.
Yeah,
and
he's excellent.
One of the things I said to him that it made him took him back for a second, and I said, remember something about perception. My pet peeve with all of the workers nowadays is they all have these faggy little things they pull behind them with wheels.
Politically incorrect. You got to get us banned from.
Hey, well, sorry, that's my perception. If you're a guy that's you're squatting 700 pounds, you're bench pressing 650 pounds, you're deadlifting 1,200 pounds, and you can't carry 35 pounds of gear on your back. Come on, you're killing it for me. Do you think Animal and Hawk would walk through an airport carrying the little bags with wheels behind them? It's shameful. Give people something. If they see you in public, look like this monster that you're trying to be. I'm got my little Peppa Pig bag behind me. Let me take it to the airport. Come on. Perception. If you want to look like a mean killer, look like it. I used to carry ruck pack on my back, a mortar plate, all kinds of stuff, wearing 100 pounds of gear.
The ring.
The
back
ring,
when men were men, he carried the ring on his back.
Andre the Giant.
That's
everything
right.
on my back.
That's right. Yeah.
But it's perception. Outside the ring, Bruno Sammartino, when he was in a restaurant, if he saw a child inside there, he would refuse to drink wine with his meal because of the perception that child would get seeing him drink an alcoholic beverage. It's perception. And I know a lot in this country, people like to always push role models on the celebrities, athletes, and stuff. And to me, your role model should be your parents. Britney Spears is not a role model. Miley Cyrus is not a role model. None of these people are role models for kids. They're role models for people if you want to be in business and know about hype and know that if you want to be popular and famous, there are two bad things in entertainment. Number one is being talked about. Number two is no longer being talked about. So what do? They keep themselves talked about and relevant. That's just how it is. Another life lesson. I'm telling you, just come here and it just oozes.
We just sit at the feet of wisdom whenever Chris Michaels comes down
The only thing
here.
I'm missing now is the Buddha belly that I had back in July.
That's right. So, while we're talking indie wrestling, I just want to thank our sponsors, the SWF, which is more a family-oriented promotion, old school, I would say. And tell us about SWF, guys. Chad?
So I can give you a rundown of their shows.
Okay,
I
sure.
have a list of their shows coming up.
Even that notebook's old school. I like that.
Old notebook
I like
too.
that.
You have to keep it, and I have an old school memory too. I can't remember anything. So
You suffer from CRS.
yeah.
Can't remember shit.
Yeah.
SWF runs tons of shows. I think they run more than any promotion out there, which is major props to Rob. I don't know how he does it because planning out shows. It's like it takes months to really
Rob is out doing flyers and posters as we speak.
Old
That's
school,
how he does
hanging
it.
them in the windows.
That's
Yeah,
how he does it.
I'm working the mic. He's working the streets.
Yeah.
Their next show is January 26th in Saraville, February 9th in Totowa, February 23rd in Barnegat, March 9th in Boonton, March 23rd in Bayville, April 13th in Bayville as well. And he always adds a lot of shows to that too. So they have a full schedule coming up. You get tickets at Be the Trifecta as well for any of their shows.
There you go. And I attended an SWF show when Chris wrestled Tony Atlas, and I like that old school feel to it. And the kids can meet the wrestlers and take pictures and get autographs. That does not happen at a WWE show.
Yeah,
and
well-
that's part of the appeal.
Yeah, all the shows we want it to be very, fan friendly. Even the adult show, we want you to be able to, get up and close with the wrestlers, talk, have conversation, do backstage pictures, whatever it is. We want them to be fun.
Well, considering the 21 and over crowd, just a suggestion, but something that, remember Armand Kid USA? He had his wrestling cage promotion. some years
Armand
ago?
was Mickey Rourke's
Right.
stunt double and the
Right.
wrestler, of course, yeah.
When he had his wrestling cage promotion, he had this thing out in far out east, I forget, some kind of a game place, they have these video games for the kids and laser tag and all that crap. And he had a show inside. It was a big indoor, I think it was a softball field, indoor softball
Was it
field.
Tom's River?
No, this was in Long Island, out
Oh,
here.
Long Island. Oh, okay.
I forget, like either Center East or someplace a little further east from here. And immediately following the show, they had a meet and greet with the wrestlers after the show, like in a dinner setting.
Yeah, and you'd eat pasta. Yeah,
Right.
it was nice.
And
yeah.
pasta's cheap. You could do like a never-ending pasta bowl. You could because it's a 21 and over crowd. I think that'd be an excellent time to have that inside there, so you don't have to worry about the kids, and you can actually get that good adult interaction and build a little more interest.
And the notorious Dateless Wonders can meet the lady wrestlers.
Yes.
Yes.
Every time I come on Evan's show and I talk about the fat, undateable, basement-dwelling, blogging wrestling fanboys, I get at least 5 likes on my wrestling page.
Oh my God. Of
So
course.
it must mean his work. But it's the truth hurts because I can't even say the last time. The only time these guys ever had interaction with a female, it required a credit card verification.
I always like the guys who sit all day and make up imaginary wrestling matches. Like, if Andre the Giant wrestled Sky Low, who would win? This is so they channel their energy.
Oh my God.
But anyway, now that we've insulted our audience and lost a chunk
Yeah,
of
look,
them.
there goes the viewers
That's
right there.
right. That's right.
Quick, get a female guest to open her boobs. We'll get the viewers right back.
So, Chad, it's a trifecta. Tell us about your third promotion.
The third promotion is Standalone Wrestling, and we've had several shows already. Mays Landing, Little Egg Harbor, Atlantic City, and our next two up. One, we have a private show. It's for the Builders League of South Jersey. That's February 13th. But if you are a tradesperson, like a carpenter or an electrician, and you want to attend, you could inbox me or contact me at standalonewrestling@gmail.com. Our next follow-up show will be June 1st at Legends of the Ring. And, they're the longest running convention on the East Coast. And this is the first time that they're actually going to have a live wrestling show after the convention. So I'm really excited about that because you're going to take your convention stars, your standalone wrestling stars, and they're going to square off. That's in Monroe, New Jersey. Again, tickets at BeTheTrifecta.com.
And what distinguishes standalone wrestling from the 137 other promotions running in America that night?
So, in my eyes, I look at it that, so SWF will be your more family-friendly, promotion. I look at standalone wrestling as you're more of like a Japanese strong style, more like a Ring of Honor, New Japan type of wrestling is what I'm looking for. And then the After Dark is your more adult, let's not bring the children type of thing. So you have a variety of shows that you can plan out is what the concept is, and the trifecta all marketing together, and I think just elevates each brand.
And what do you say to the old school fans who have this whole living in the past thing? There's been no good wrestling since the territories, and I'll tell them, when Nigel McGuinness wrestled Bryan Danielson in Ring of Honor, I said that's the modern equivalent of Flair and Steamboat, Dory Funk and Jack Briscoe. When a Tanahashi wrestles Kenny Omega, I said that's art. That's art. What's the matter, Chris?
He's escaping.
What? Chris Michaels is escaping. What?
I'm getting ready to put Evan in a sleeper hold.
Yeah.
I shall
Okay. Anyway.
He's going to make a return.
Well, the door's open over here too,
Yes.
That heroin's a terrible thing.
Oh my God!
I'm kidding. But
man. Yeah, so we're actually doing a series of trifecta branded shows as well. In the summertime in 2019, we're going to debut in Wildwood. We'll announce a date and the venue soon. In the fall, September 14th, we're going to have the Kings and Queens of the Trifecta, which is basically like the WWE Mixed Match Challenge. One female, one male tag team. It's going to be an elimination tournament. Winner gets they get King and Queen crowns. Basically, we're going to send out invite-only videos to the talents themselves, and then the talent has 1 week to respond, whether they accept, which is going to be more interactive. Get the fans involved. Are they going to accept? Who is it? And stuff like that. And then November 30th, we're going to have a show as well. We don't have a location or what the show concept is to announce yet.
You must be like one of the busiest guys in America. There's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, I'm busy between my real life job. I work like 7 days a week, and
what do you do?
So I own a company. It's a cleaning company, but we do more like you look behind you, the apartments and stuff like that. We do new construction cleaning. So every time they build an apartment complex, we go in and we clean it before the people move in, after the contractors are done. So we're super busy, very blessed with that business.
Wow, interesting. What do you think is the right balance between male and female wrestlers on a show? Because just this past week or so ago, the women headlined Madison Square Garden and the Nassau Coliseum. And at Madison Square Garden, you had Rollins and Ambrose in the cage. At the Nassau Coliseum, you had Cena and Daniel Bryan in the cage. And they treated the women's match as the main event. Asuka had a title match on one card. And I find it interesting. At the same time, I haven't seen that many great women's matches in the past decade in WWE. I just haven't. I haven't seen that classic Flash Steamboat or whatever the case may be. What's the right balance?
For me right now, I'm looking at a 1 to 2 women's matches tops right now. I agree with you. I think one of the problems is, you look at the schools and, the feeding system. I think there's not enough female talents coming through that get to that level. And I think there is that demand for women's wrestling. That's why WWE is trying to really push it. But we still need to cultivate more. Males wrestling has been around forever, and it's been the focus, and it's been the thing. So you're seeing that change of climate, that women's wrestling is becoming a bigger thing, but we need to, escalate the talent.
As an old school fan, when I turn on wrestling, I want to see great wrestling. I don't care how pretty she is. I don't care how skimpy the outfit is. I just want to see great wrestling. And some of them deliver and some of them don't. I mean, that's the bottom line. And same thing with guys. I mean, some of them are great, some of them aren't. Mm-hmm. But you could have a six-pack of abs. It doesn't make you, a great wrestler. So it's a similar, comparison. But at the same time, Ronda Rousey is not Daniel Bryan. I'm sorry, she just isn't. She's not on that level.
Especially, when she first came out. I think when she first came out, it was pretty bad. I think you're seeing the change, but again, it was a rush.
Yeah, And I mean, I understand she's a name, she's a draw, and she has a fan base to begin with. But I want to see that great match, and that's not always the case, with the WWE women anyway. The Japanese women, many of them are on a higher level.
Yeah, and there you go. There's one of the problems. You'll see the Japanese talent come over from Japan to WWE, and they go through the NXT system, and everything seems real good. Then all of a sudden they're on WWE, and there's some kind of disconnect. I don't know if that's a management thing, if it's a talent issue.
They neuter a lot of the talent. Nakamura is wrestling 4 and 5 star matches for New Japan. Then he's wrestling 3-star matches with the vanilla WWE style, and it is a step down for the most part.
Yeah.
You could count Nakamura's great matches in WWE on maybe 2 hands.
Very limited, right?
Yeah, I mean, in New Japan, if you see him and AJ Styles in New Japan, that's so superior to what he's doing in WWE. I'm sorry. AJ Styles, he's been impressive in WWE. He's pretty much sustained his greatness, but a lot of times they neuter these guys. And so people are like, God, I hope Kenny Omega comes to WWE.
I was just gonna say
I
that.
don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
It's not going to be Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
It's going to be, WWE's Omega.
Exactly. And, they might put a Kenny Omega and an AJ Styles in a dream match at WrestleMania, but the other, 200 matches may not be what you're used to, because this guy's a master. This guy's really a phenomenal talent, and you don't want to see him, tone it down. I hear Randy Orton is such a great wrestler. I said, well, he's not having great matches.
No.
I mean, few and far between. So what's the point? I want to see great matches. That's why I watch wrestling. And I'll enjoy a great promo, but a lot of these guys can't talk today. They can't talk. Kevin Owens can talk. Chris Jericho can talk. But a lot of these guys can't talk.
It's very rare nowadays.
So plug any social media or anything you want, and then we're going to take a little break. But give out your social media.
Okay, so Facebook.com, Standalone Wrestling, Twitter.com, Saw Pro Wrestling, Instagram.com is Standalone Wrestling. Same thing for SWF and same for Pro Wrestling After Dark as well. We have everything. You can get us anywhere. Website, bethetrifecta.com.
Okay, and yours truly writes for Pro Wrestling Stories, JP Zocker out of England, and we lean more towards history, and check it out, prowrestlingstories.com. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the legends we've lost recently, and we're going to talk wrestling in general, and we'll see what happened to the late, great Chris Michaels, who disappeared mid-set. We'll be right back, folks. We are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. So recently, several legends passed. Alexis Smirnoff, who was big in the San Francisco territory for Roy Shire and all the territories. Alexis Smirnoff passed this week. We also, of course, lost Mean Gene Okerlund. And I always liked Okerlund because he seemed bemused by everything going on around him. He didn't take it like life and death. Like, you could see he was getting a kick out of the larger-than-life characters of that era. You know, what would your take on Mean Gene as an announcer?
For me, I've met him through the conventions and personally and stuff like that, and just a fun, outgoing guy.
Very pleasant, gracious. Every time I met him, nice. Yeah.
Loved being around the talent. Just loved everything about wrestling. So he's one of those guys that you can never replace.
It's interesting in wrestling. There's very few guys who everybody loves. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves Terry Funk. Everybody loves Roddy Piper. And I think Okerlund's one of those rare guys where I never heard a bad word about him. Every time you meet this guy, it was like, how are you? Big smile, gracious, friendly. Yeah, I liked him the few times I met him. Speaking of conventions, I'll be working WrestleCon with Greg the Hammer Valentine and one other legend to be announced. So come down and say hello to yours truly and Greg the Hammer. So who else have we lost recently? We lost Larry the Axe Henning. He was great. Yeah. Any memories of Larry the Axe Henning?
More of a son, not as much of Larry. But
I saw Larry and Kurt tag team against the Road Warriors.
Wow.
Yeah, but Larry was a little older at that point. But Larry had a good run in WWF. He wrestled Bruno, he wrestled Pedro. But you're going back to the early to mid 70s with him in this area. He was a mainstay in the AWA. But top heel. And for that era, like a big guy, Larry the Axe Henning. And it's funny. Every time one of these guys go, it's like a little piece of your childhood, And I always say with wrestling, it brings you back to your father or parents or grandparents who took you to the matches, And it's very sad when you lose these guys. Even TV stars, you lose. You go, oh yeah, I remember that guy when I was a kid.
Well,
and
Penny Marshall just recently.
Yeah, Penny.
I guess. Well, like you're the older you get, the more people die. That's just the leading cause of death is life.
Yeah, but
Well, like you said, it's a piece. You feel like, oh my God, that I knew that and I related to that person and I have that connection and that time that you spent watching
like the guy, I wrestled that guy. He's
yeah.
dead.
All right.
And Van Bigelow. I wrestled him. Scott Bigelow gone.
Yeah.
There's just those things we all gotta come. We all gotta go.
Or as Richard Pryor said, he came and he went. But that's an old joke. So, Chad, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to do something a college professor did to us. How old are you?
39.
39. Okay. So 19 to 39 went quickly, right?
Yes.
That's as quickly as 39 is to 59.
Yeah, right?
So that's why people have to enjoy themselves. Do what you love, follow your muse, follow your passion, which you're doing. You're doing it. You're not talking about it. You're not sitting online 24/7, commenting on wrestling, being an armchair quarterback. You're doing it. Follow your muse. Absolutely. Because the time goes very quickly. And Chris and I are in our 50s, and the years behind us are more than the years ahead of us. Even if I know a guy who lived to 114.
Wow.
His name was Bernardo Lapallo. He was vegan. He practiced yoga. He walked a mile a day. He didn't take one pill. He was 114. But even if you live to 114, when you're in your 50s, that's, you see what I'm saying?
Sure, you got confidence if you're in your 50s and 60s. Imagine at 100. It's like you have any control.
This guy was healthy as a horse. You could go on YouTube, Bernardo Lapallo. I interviewed him on my radio show at 109. He was sharp as could be. So you can live a long, healthy life, but at the same time, there's a beginning, middle, and end. So considering this is the beginning of a new year, I'm telling the viewers and listeners, do what you love. Don't sweat the small stuff, you know. And what really comes down to important is your friends, your family, helping others, and being creative. That's really what it comes down to. It's not how big your TV is, how big your car is. You know, that's bullshit.
Well, yeah, all of that stuff can be stolen. You know, I mean, I tell people all the time, is especially when it comes to kids, is value the education that you're taking. Take classes that are actually going to provide you with the capability of making a living, not just something to have a nice plaque on the wall that does nothing for you. But if, like you said, follow your passion, your muse.
But have a plan B. You still have to pay the
Of
bills.
course, of
Yeah.
course. I mean, everybody has a job. There's always somebody that's has a garage band, or everybody has that other outlet that they have, their creative outlet that they have other than their job. And if people are actually able to channel that energy into something they enjoy doing, then imagine people across this country waking up in the morning looking forward to going to their job.
Oh, absolutely.
But most people hate what they do.
Statistically, 4 out of 5 Americans hate their job. Hate their job. You get on a subway at rush hour, which I've done a zillion times. The faces, they're unhappy, they're pained. But what about the 1 out of 5 that love what they do, that are passionate about what they do? Those are the people that are going to be happy. There's a reason there's an opioid epidemic. There's a reason there's rampant alcoholism. There's a reason somebody's 350 pounds because they're eating to feed their soul, not to feed their stomach. You know, there's a lot of unhappy people out there. And part of that is because much of their week they're doing something that they hate. Do what you love. And we have a film called 350 Days coming out in the spring, worldwide distribution, and Billy Graham, Bret Hart, Greg Valentine, Tito Santana, etc. We worked on this for 5 years. We're passionate about it. And also, the art that you create is your legacy. You know, people will watch The Wrestler 100 years from now. And, you know, so this is part of why you're here. Create something where there's a legacy of some sort. And when Joey Ryan uses his penis to twirl his opponent, this is art that Chad's created. But,
It doesn't require a guy with a full body suit and a yellow bucket and mop to clean up afterwards. So that's good.
but seriously, wrestling is an art when it's done well. And a Sunny Kiss of somebody is an artist. Well,
I equate professional wrestling to ballroom dancing. You could tell who spends their time on the dance floor the same way you could tell who spends their time in the ring. Mm-hmm. It's very easy. And something I've always said to people, a smart person could act stupid. It doesn't work the other way around, because you can find them out real easy. So like
well, somebody could be book smart and have no common sense. I mean,
well, there's lots of people like that.
Yeah.
You know, they're good that way. You know, they're great at math equations and figuring out chemistry. But when it comes to
trigonometry gets me through every single day. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
basic
That's my girlfriend's famous line. I have book smarts.
book smarts is good. I mean, you know,
Okay.
knowledge is something that cannot be stolen.
How does your girlfriend feel about the fact that you will put in countless hours promoting wrestling, which is hours, you know, taken away from her?
She hates it.
Okay.
The financial aspect, the time, wrestling itself, total opposites. She hates it. Yeah.
But your end game is to make money with it and see it expand, and you know, so your wife, if you go on the road, you know, she accepts it.
Well, I mean, when tells me she remembers seeing me on TV with the WWF stuff back when I was doing my preliminary crap. So, knowing that, you know, this is part of one of the things about my wife that I appreciate is that she's supportive of something if if you're doing it, but if you're not doing it half-assed. It's
Yeah.
one thing if you're doing something and you're like, like guys that get involved with wrestling, they've satisfied maybe that part of their bucket list, I guess, so to speak. And then that's it for them. That's it. They get in the ring. They've got their gear. Some of the guys don't even get me started on gear, sneakers, and kick pads. I want to choke people, and leg slapping and these fuck you punches. I hate it. I hate it. It's just it takes away. It's like watching a ventriloquist and his mouth moves. It takes away that whole aspect of the believability of what they're doing.
You know what I didn't like about Wrestle Kingdom? They did a lot of slow-mo, and it kind of exposes some of the moves. Yeah, I'm like I wouldn't do that if I was them.
That's good, or maybe like a table spot or something like that,
Yeah, some of the moves were very convincing, and some of it, when they slowed it down, yeah.
They should have probably expanded their little editing program and probably squeezed out that little.
Oh, this was a live show. Yeah.
Even that. Yeah, but usually every live show has got a 7-second delay, so you could actually fudge with stuff when you're live.
Interesting. So we are rapidly running out of time here. Is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention? Or
just come out to the shows. BeTheTrifecta.com. We're going to be all over the state. WrestleMania week will be everywhere. So grab some flyers and again, just support our brands.
So here's my big question about WrestleMania week. You're going to have a zillion wrestling fans in town. But at what point is there too much competition where there's 40 different events, 50 different events? I mean, does it work for or against you?
Yes, so I am not running anything at all for that simple reason.
Okay.
But I have ring rentals. I'm going to be at all the collective shows, and that's in Jersey City. And there alone, they have 12 shows running in the same venue. So I'm just using this whole week as a marketing tool. And
Great.
That's the only thing I'm going to do is, let's build up the trifecta. Let's introduce fans from, all over the world who are coming to WrestleMania, to our brands.
And once again, WrestleMania week. It's okay. Live radio, folks. And once again, come out and meet yours truly and Greg the Hammer Valentine. And we're going to announce one more legend at WrestleCon. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And Greg Valentine, even with the poker face, he's a funny guy. You ever sit down and talk with him?
Never.
He's been to the studio. He's a funny guy. And speaking of wrestling, Village Connection Radio's wrestling show, Monty and the Pharaoh, Thursdays, 8:05. My buddies, Mike Monty and Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy Farrow is so passionate about wrestling, he'll break it. He'll get like all emotional. He'll get teary-eyed. Right? Bob Backlund in 1978. He'll get like teary-eyed. Yeah.
I was supposed to call into the show one time, and it totally slipped my mind, and I was at work, and I couldn't call in. And I felt so bad, so unprofessional. But they were super cool about it, and they understood. But still,
they have autograph signings coming up. Shane Douglas, Too Cold Scorpio. Who else, Jim? Bunch of guys.
Yeah, there's a couple more. You're
asking the wrong person.
They should send me the itinerary. They always have stuff going on.
We have Marty Jannetty coming.
Marty Jannetty, yep, that's one.
Marty and his big club foot.
Marty Jannetty.
Yeah, Marty Jannetty. We had an interesting experience with Marty Jannetty.
He was covered in the flour.
Yeah, he was covered in flour from a previous appearance, and he's in 350 days, and we're talking about the sacrifices they made back then. They were on the road and they're away from their families, and Marty's like, we were banging these women and it was great, So it was like totally not the tone of what we were promoting.
Wow.
His insurance bags had spent their time in some of the best hotel rooms.
Yeah.
They weren't in it, but the bags were.
It was an interesting interview. Yeah.
I can't wait to see that.
Well, he's going to do another interview, I'm sure, with Monty and the Pharaoh. Yeah. 26th. That's a Saturday, right? Yeah. So that'll about do it, folks. I'm going to be away with some family matters next Sunday, but I'll be back in 2 weeks. And thank you so much, Chad. Thank you, Chris Michaels, not Chris Daniels. Pam on the previous show.
Yeah, well, Yeah, that's
Chris Daniels is great. That's a compliment.
Look, I could have been referred to a lot of other things, so I'll let that slide.
There's worse things in life than a wrestler being called Chris Daniels. That guy's tremendous. That guy's tremendous.
This is true.
Yeah.
It could be much worse. I could have been compared to somebody else unworthy.
I'll tell you, Chris Daniels is 47, 48. That guy's still great.
He is.
Yeah, he's. I think Ring of Honor is still tremendous. They're not what they were 10 years ago when they had Nigel and Bryan Danielson and Austin Aries and all the Japanese guys. But they're still. Ring of Honor is wrestling taken as a sport, taken as an art, as opposed to a circus. When I watch a 3-hour Raw, it's painful sometimes.
Yeah,
it's actually painful.
I can't finish it.
Yeah. I'm like, comedy's supposed to be funny. This isn't funny. You know, dialogue's supposed to be dramatic. This is just stilted, robotic. You basically have 20, 30 minutes of good wrestling, and then that's it.
If they make it a 2-hour show again, it might actually give you something you want to see, but 3 hours, it's...
Yeah.
You know, it's like a...
Then they're showing replays of the awful stuff from earlier in the show.
Yeah. It's still time. How great.
But why did they... My last comment before we go. WWE is one of the greatest talent rosters and certainly the biggest budget in the history of the business, and you put on a show that's pretty much crap. Crap. I mean, they even the last Madison Square Garden card, which was instantly forgettable. Friends of mine were there. I said, if I had that talent on that card, I could have done a Wrestle Kingdom level show.
Yeah.
If I had those 20 wrestlers.
It's a promoter's dream to have those guys.
Exactly. And I said, they have these guys in 5-man matches, and it's just like throwaway stuff. And it's a shame. It's really a shame how they squander one of the greatest talent bases
They're doing
in history.
Some of the mistakes that the indies do. Like you just get a generic poster. You get the guys to show up, and it's like you throw names in a basket, twirl it around, pull names out of a hat. Okay, these two guys.
These 2 guys, these 5 guys are wrestling these 5 guys. These 4 guys they just throw them like haphazard. There's no rhyme or reason to
no
it.
Continuity, like you said, easily forgettable. When you go to a show and you've got 2 or 3, 4 or 5-man tag matches, you just got nothing but asses in your face. You're not getting to see a match. You got all these guys standing on a ring apron. Really don't get to see
Even Wrestle Kingdom the other night, which is heads and tails above anything WWE does. They had one 3-man match after another. It got tedious after a while. When you have a one-on-one match for a title, it feels like it means something. Mm-hmm. It means something. But that's my New Year's vent against WWE. Support the indies. Support
the indies, because hey, look, even before WWE became this mega conglomerate, they ran small venues. Everything starts small. Yeah. Michael Bloomberg started his business in his garage. So big things are possible. You just gotta dream big. The biggest place of lost dreams is the cemetery. Everybody had their ideas and all these plans for the future, and it died with them.
Yeah.
You know, would you rather take the chance, fail, and say, okay, at least I took the chance, or live with regret your entire life?
Don't wake up woulda, coulda, shoulda. Chris Michaels has lived the dream. He jobbed to 6 guys in one night and drove the ring truck 600 miles. He lived the dream.
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, my God.
The dream. It was a reoccurring nightmare like Groundhog Day, but I lived it.
Yeah, I'm kidding, Chris. You know we love you. So that'll about do it, folks. Thank you, Chad. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim Savali. Thank you, Monty Nefaro. Thank you, Mike Katz, who we dedicate the show to.
Shout out to Simply Splendid Bobby C, representing Team Splendid in the Dominican Republic.
That's right.
Who yesterday defeated his opponent. Tonight, I expect the same. So I'm expecting Simply Splendid Bobby C to come back from the Dominican Republic with 2 more wins under his belt. So good luck to Bobby C tonight.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. That'll about do it, folks. Thanks, Jim.
I stand. Oh, my mind clear. Lord, I shed all my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security. This is about freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded guns. This outright war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded guns. This broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clear. Lord, I shed all my tears.